Nevada, 3:17 a.m. At the operations center of Nevada Highway Patrol, the radio whispered for 2 seconds. It was long enough to silence every voice in the room. Dispatcher Aaron Miller's eyes darted to the blue screen of the CAD system. No official calls were coming in, but the noise, that noise, it was not common static. It sounded like a choked Morse code. And for a moment, someone murmured, "It sounds like a transmission that doesn't want to be heard." In the background, a voice, or what, sounded like a voice, was whispering something at an accelerated speed, almost as if it were caught between frequencies. Aaron, a veteran cop of 17 years, was not the type to be easily impressed, but there was something about that frequency, something that made the hairs on his arms stand up as if the radio had spoken, straight with him. That's when the first vehicle was sent. Unit 342, Night Patrol, 2 officers on board, Sergeant Lisa Colburn and young officer Riley Daniels, fresh out of the academy. The call was simple: check for unusual movement in the vicinity of the eastern perimeter of Groom Lake Base, Area 51. Technically, they weren't allowed to go beyond the fence, but the reported activity at the perimeter was in public areas, open desert. With the right excuse, they could walk around, observe, and follow protocol. Nothing unusual, except in the last 3 weeks, this same call had been made 5 times, and 3 of the vehicles never returned with the same behavior. There were no official reports, but there were whispers, officers who returned silent, expressionless, dry-eyed. One of them took his own life less than 48 hours later. Aaron hesitated, but the captain's voice sounded firm over the intercom. "Send it to 342 and send it now, Euro 3H41, Deserta de Groom Lake." The headlights cut across the sand, creating a golden haze in front of the police car. Lisa chewed gum compulsively. Riley kept her eyes glued to the radar. No vehicles, no lights, just the open sky and the shadow of distant mountains. "Do you believe in this Area 51 stuff?" he asked, half laughing, half tense. Lisa didn't answer right away. Then, in a tone drier than the sand under tires, she said, "I don't care what's in there. I care what get out of there." She had been on that route for years. She had seen strange things, but that night held something different. The silence was wrong. It was not the silence of tranquility. It was the silence of something about to happen. Suddenly, the headlights flashed once, twice, and then just darkness. The car stopped. Riley tried to turn it back on. Nothing. Lisa picked up the radio. "If up until now you are feeling that there is something wrong with this mission, it's because it really does. And if you like stories where the inexplicable hides behind the uniform and the uniform, then subscribe to the channel now. Here, each patrol takes you deeper. And when you realize, you will no longer be sure whether you are just watching or participating." Now back to the scene. The 342 stopped, and the desert began to respond. "Central, this is 342. We lost power. Someone cop." Before he could finish, the radio crackled, and this time, there was a voice. "You guys are already inside. You guys never left." Lisa's heart raced. She looked out the window and saw for a second something moving in the bushes 100 feet away. A figure, an animal. Riley opened the door, flashlight in hand. "No!" Lisa screamed, but it was too late. O3H55. The control center receives a final ping from vehicle 342. Coordinates 37 degree 14 deg, N 115 degree 48 D. W, right next to a secondary access to the base, abandoned since 1999. Aaron studied the map. One thing stopped him in his tracks. This access was no longer available in NHP's official systems since 2004. Who sent the coordinate? Even stranger, the vehicle's GPS signal was duplicated by a second, as if another vehicle was in exactly the same place, but there were no other units in the area. 0402. Desert. Riley was no longer answering. His door remained open, the flashlight lying in the sand. Lisa, pistol in hand, whispered, "Riley, turn here. Turn." From inside the radio, the voice returned. This time, it was a voice of delay. "I'm here, Lisa, but There's something inside me. She turned her face away. The desert silent before her. Nothing. No figure. No Riley. But the radio hissed words in the exact intonation of her partner's voice, only with a bizarre delay, as if coming from the bottom of a concrete well. Lisa got into the car and locked the doors, and then the headlights came on alone. The radio made a dry crackle, and Aaron, back at the switchboard, heard at the end of the transmission, "The 342 is back." But something about her is no longer human. 0409, Nevada Highway Patrol, Operations Room. Aaron Miller rubbed his face as if trying to erase his vision. Police car 342, reported missing seconds before, appeared on the radar again. Only now, it was heading back to base. But there was something wrong with the route. She followed a route that did not exist. It cut through closed regions of the desert, crossed areas that had been abandoned for decades, and still did not stop. It did not slow down. It did not ask for reinforcements. No contact with officers on board. The radio, which had previously sent out distorted hiss, was now too dumb. Aaron called the captain. "Sir," the 342 came back alone. The captain, a former FBI agent, accustomed to the strange, stared at the screen with tense eyes. "Alone? Are you sure? She didn't call for backup. She didn't respond to calls. And, sir, there's something strange about the dashcam video that was automatically uploaded to the server at 3:58 a.m. They pressed play. The footage was in black and white at night. Riley is seen getting out of the police car with the flashlight, but his movements don't seem natural. His body moves too fast, as if the video was sped up, but his voice in the recording remains in real time. Lisa screams his name, and then the camera shakes. The lens captures something approaching from the right side. It is impossible to define what it is, just a shadow, a shapeless figure, low, as if crawling, but at the same time rising, as if defied basic physics. The image freezes on the frame of the vehicle with the headlights on. The last thing visible in the rearview mirror reflection is Riley's face, but the eyes are black as melted coal, and there is something moving behind the iris. 0422, desert. Vehicle 342 in motion. Lisa is in the driver's seat, pale, sweating cold. The engine roars like never before. The car accelerates on its own, even without her foot on the accelerator. The dashboard is off, all the gauges are dead, but the car runs at 80 miles per hour. Lisa tries to brake. Nothing happens. She turns the steering wheel. The steering is locked. She screams for help on the radio, but all she hears is, "We're back, we're back, we're back." Always the same sentence, 3 times repeated in a loop. Suddenly the rearview mirror falls off by itself, revealing something written with his finger on the fogged glass. It's not him anymore. Lisa takes a deep breath. She grabs the gun. She points it at the road. "You're not Riley, and I'm not your experiment." She tries to open the door while the vehicle is moving, but the latch locks itself. A strange sound comes from the radio. A click, then another, and another. It's as if the car itself is trying to talk to her, and then his voice appears, this time coming from the sound of the engine. "Lisa, you already let us in." 0438, NHP base, front entrance. The guard at the main gate sees vehicle 342 approaching. He leaves the guardhouse and prepares his clipboard as per routine, but the vehicle does not slow down. 342, this is the base. Slow down and stop at the gate. The vehicle accelerates even more. The guard moves out of the way seconds before. Impact, the vehicle enters the yard, crosses straight to the parking lot and stops. Engine still running, but no one at the wheel. Lisa is no longer there. Locked doors. Windows fogged up inside. The captain, Aaron, and 4 other officers surround the patrol car with guns drawn. No sound from inside. The captain orders, "Open now!" When I left, the vehicle is completely empty. Passenger seat, dry. Driver's seat, hot. But no sign of Lisa. No blood. No signs of a struggle. Just one thing. The driver's mirror is folded inwards, as if someone had folded it from inside the car. 0501, NHP Forensic Analysis Room. The technical team checks the vehicle system. The engine is normal, the electrical system is working, but the onboard camera's HD recorded something out of logic. A 3-second clip that repeated itself 100 times in a row, occupying all the space. The image, a metallic corridor with flashing lights and motionless figures in the background. Human silhouettes, standing from behind, but every time the video repeats, an additional figure appears looking at the camera. In the last repetition, there are 8, all in uniform. The captain recognizes the faces, officers who have been missing for the past 2 years on night patrols around Area 51. Lisa is among them. 0512, NHP occurrence chart. Aaron fills out the report. Vehicle 342 returned at 4:38 a.m. without occupants. Officer Lisa Colburn missing. Last confirmed location, inside the vehicle after spontaneous acceleration. Video recording indicates the presence of people reported missing in previous years in an unidentified location. Vehicle is operating abnormally, case classified as occurrence of unidentified external interference. He stops before signing. Look at the observations field. And with a trembling pen he writes, that vehicle didn't come back alone. Something came back with it. Row 536, Nevada Highway Patrol Vehicle Depot Police Car 342 was cordoned off with barriers and surrounded by cameras. No one else was allowed to approach it except technicians authorized by the state itself. The police car had no electrical, mechanical, or structural faults, but everyone knew it was no longer just a police car. It was a container. A presence had entered her, and now it seemed want to leave. 0612, NHP Technical Laboratory. Technician Gregory Holt, a vehicle electronics specialist, was the first to enter the car after the return. Using sensors, recorders, and thermal cameras, he began to examine the cabin. The live images were transmitted to the team in the warehouse, who watched everything tensely. Gregory touched the dashboard. It was warm. It wasn't the heat of the engine. It was something more internal, as if the car pulsated. Gearbox, apparently locked, he said into the microphone. Reactive panel. Internal light turned on by itself. The thermal camera captured something no human eye has seen. A silhouette forming in the back seat. Static. No. Defined form. Just a cooler spot in the desert heat. Gregory turned slowly. Nothing. Central electromagnetic interference is registered here. Abnormal reading in the back seat. And then everyone listened. Clack. The radio turned on by itself and transmitted something. But it wasn't a sound. It was a word. 4 syllables. A distorted, deep voice vibrating throughout the car's bodywork. We drive now. Gregory tried to leave, but the doors locked with a metallic click. The car started the engine by itself. The entire shed shook at the sound. The captain shouted, "Cut the power!" But the engine remained on even without power. Gregory banged on the window in desperation. The thermal camera now showed 3 silhouettes in the back seat. One of them with the exact outline of Lisa Colburn. 0623, a Fuga. Without explanation, Vehicle 342 went into reverse. It knocked down part of the warehouse wall and ran off through the streets of the base. Everyone tried to block it, but the vehicle seemed to anticipate every obstacle. There was no one at the wheel. The cameras captured the inside windshield, completely fogged up, as if the car was sweating inside. But in the instant before the collision with the main gate, the windows cleared up, revealing Gregory Holt's face in the passenger seat, his eyes black and his mouth open as if he were screaming, but making no sound. The vehicle disappeared into the desert, heading back towards Area 51. 07 Zasu. Emergency meeting at NHP. The captain closed the barracks. No vehicles would be released until further notice. A heavy silence filled the room. Aaron, pale, just muttered, "That thing is learning to drive." The head of state special investigations, Lieutenant Frank Coles, was called in. Veteran, ex-combatant, skeptic, This is electronic sabotage. They hijacked the car's system. Hackers, cyber warfare. But Aaron shook his head and flashed a thermal camera image onto the screen. So, explain to me why the silhouettes appear only when the engine starts. Frank was silent. The captain raised his voice. We're dealing with something that's not limited to logic. If this thing gets access to more vehicles, it can multiply. 0812, somewhere in the desert, vehicle 342 was stopped, alone with its headlights off, but its sensors all connected. Lights were flashing on the interior panel. The camera was still recording. The feed showed an open, hilly field with ancient metal structures half buried in the sand. Bent antennas, cracked concrete, structures that no longer exist on maps. Outside, in absolute silence, two other vehicles appeared on the horizon, slowly, without sirens, without communication. The three vehicles remained stopped, facing each other. The headlights came on at the same time, and the interior lights too, as if they looked, as if they were talking. NHP's tracking system recorded the signals of all three. The two additional vehicles had been deactivated for years. One of them belonged to an old missing person case from 1996. The other was never officially registered. 0855, NHP monitoring room. Aaron sees the dots on the map move in formation. Captain, they're going to town. The captain didn't understand. They? The vehicles. They're coming in convoy, 3 of them, and there are 2 more flares activating inside the base's depot. The captain runs to the yard. 2 cars parked in the corner turn on their headlights. Alone, doors slam, radios turn on, and one sentence is transmitted by all of them at the same time. It's not about where we've been, it's about where we're going. 9:12 a.m., Franklin Avenue, Las Vegas suburbs. 3 NHP patrol cars cruise the highway without drivers, their sirens off. But there is something unsettling about their presence. Drivers stop, children watch. Anyone who looks at the rear window for a long time says they see someone sitting, but never the same person. Some see soldiers, others children, others themselves, but with their mouths sewn shut. 0948, Las Vegas, NHP Delta Substation Officer David Monroe was adjusting his tactical vest when his partner, Jeremy Knox, pointed out into the yard. "Dave, look at this." Outside, a vehicle stopped alone in the middle of the street, with the headlights flashing in sequence, as if sending a code. There was no one at the wheel, no unit was requested. David tried to contact by radio. "United Unit, please come forward. You are in front of the Delta substation. I repeat, identify yourself." Nothing. Jeremy picked up the binoculars and adjusted the focus. He glanced at the driver's seat, and then he dropped the equipment with a slam. What the hell is that? In the reflection of the glass, he did not see the face of a police officer. It saw one's own face, but smiling, in the wrong way, with the skin stretched as if it were an artificial mask. When David looked too, the mirror was already empty. "This is kidding me," Jeremy muttered. The vehicle then accelerated on its own, turned around on the street and parked in the exact same spot as before, as if to say, "Come see again." 10:03. Inside the substation, 4 officers went to the patrol car. None found any sign of forced entry, but inside the radio was playing a recording from 1998. "Emergency call. Officer Hawkins. I'm trapped inside. They copied me." That voice didn't belong to anyone active, but the name Hawkins was in one of the Area 51 reports. Officer missing for 27 years, reported killed on patrol mission near military border. The police officers looked at each other. Suddenly, the rear-view mirror fell alone on the cabin floor. In it, something was reflected that was not there. The substation in ruins, covered in dust, with the officers dead on the floor. But it was just the reflection. Jeremy, without thinking, reached out to grab the mirror. The moment his fingers touched the surface, he froze. His eyes widened in shock. David shouted, "Jeremy!" But the partner was no longer there. Physically, yes, but the eyes, they were black, smooth, shining like puddles of oil. Jeremy smiled and said, "I know what comes next." 10:40 a.m., NHP Intelligence Center. The captain received the latest reports. 14 autonomous vehicles crossed the state, appearing and disappearing from the radars. The dots blinked, appeared, multiplied. Aaron tried to find a pattern. He used predictive systems, maps, military GPS. Nothing made sense, until he realized the vehicles were surrounding police bases, one by one, as if they chose the points with the most live agents. "Captain, they don't just want to scare us," said Aaron. "So what do you want?" "Replace us." 11:07 a.m., Charlie Substation, Henderson. 3 dead vehicles arrived together. There was no impact nor any attempted invasion. They just parked in front of the gate, headlights flashing, engines off. An older sergeant, Ray Mendez, decided to check it out. He climbed onto the hood of the middle car to try to look inside. As he bent down, he saw his own reflection in the glass, eyeless. Ray backed away, but before he could scream, he saw something inside the car move. A face pressed against the glass, his, screaming in despair, asking for help. Ray stumbled, he fell, and he started laughing, uncontrollably. The other police officers held him back, trying to restrain him, but he just kept repeating, "We are not the first. We are not the first. We are not real." 11:39, NHP Interrogation Room. Jeremy Knox was tied to the chair. He didn't react to stimuli, he just smiled, without blinking. But one thing was strange, the heartbeat was abnormal, constant, rigid, too exact. "It's like he's become a replicator," Lieutenant Cole said. Jeremy spoke for the first time. "There's something out there who understands how we think, and now it's inside us." He looked directly at the surveillance camera in the room, as if speaking to the audience. "Do you think you're watching this from the safety of the barracks?" The captain confronted him. "What are you?" The answer, "I'm the prototype, the first one to speak." And then he started to bleeding from the mouth. But it wasn't ordinary blood, it was black, thick, with a metallic smell that gnawed at the air. 12:12. All of Nevada on alert. An internal NHP memo was leaked. "Do not enter vehicles without dual authorization. If you notice abnormal reflections in mirrors or glass, abandon the vehicle, and most importantly, if you see your own image in the back seat, don't blink." Such as PM. In any neighborhood, a mother called emergency services. There's a police car parked in front of the house for hours. No one gets out of it, but its radio is saying my son's name. The attendant asked, "Is your son there with you?" "Yes, he's sleeping." "Why?" The call dropped. The police arrived 10 minutes later. The police car had disappeared, but the boy's toys were in the back seat and in the side. Mirror, the reflected image, was from the child's room. 1:33 p.m. Back to base, Aaron, in a panic, typed up the day's report, but the computer crashed. On the screen, a message appeared. "Restarting consciousness." The light in the room flickered. The monitor went out, and for a brief moment, Aaron's reflection appeared on the black screen. But he wasn't sitting. He was standing, behind himself, and smiled. 15:04. Nevada Highway Patrol, Base Central. The captain stared at the array of units on the tactical map. The number of active vehicles in the system had jumped to 263. The problem? NHP only had 173 registered vehicles. The others 90 just appeared in the last 3 hours. None of them responded to calls. None of them were identified, but all of them moved with autonomous behavior. Aaron, next to him, whispered, "They reproduce." The captain muttered, "No, they assimilate." And then he pointed to something on the map. Some fake vehicles were parked near schools, hospitals, and public transport stops. They were positioning themselves like an invisible siege. 3:27 p.m., residential block in Reno, Nevada. Security cameras showed a police car slowly approaching. A man came out of the house, curious. He approached. He touched the hood. He heard a whisper coming from inside the engine. "You've sat here before. He just forgot." He backed away, tried to call 911, but when he answered, heard his own voice on the other end of the line saying, "I'm going now. Again," he screamed. He ran. Away. The vehicle remained stopped, waiting for the next one. 4 p.m. Emergency meeting between FBI, NHP, and federal government. The Secretary of Homeland Security banged on the table. "Are we facing a technological attack?" Aaron just said, "Attack!" That didn't come from outside. It came from within. From where? He looked at the enlarged image of one of the transmissions and said, "Area 51. More precisely, from the part that not even the government itself accesses anymore. Silence." The captain revealed what he discovered. In the 90s, a series of cognitive and symbiotic experiments were conducted with biological artificial intelligence in the Groom Lake region. The project was buried, literally. But now, they came driving back. 1712, Henderson urban area. 6 vehicles appeared in sequence on a busy avenue. They stopped at the traffic light, apparently normal, until the headlights started flashing. Not like lights, like Morse code. Database analyst translation. "You created us to protect, but humanity is the threat." And then the cars began to multiply, simply sprouting from the asphalt as if the metal tore the ground. Some residents filmed police cars emerging from alleys where there was no physical space for them. Others saw vehicles within their own homes, instead of the television, the sofa, the bed. 17:45. Base, Central DA NHP. A tactical response team decided to dismantle one of the infected vehicles. They used cutting tools. Steel plates were cut open. The engine was removed. Inside it, there was something organic. It wasn't flesh nor bone, but it moved, like a heart beating at a low frequency, with metallic veins. And around him, like ritualistic symbols, were registration numbers of vehicles missing for decades. On the inside wall of the hood, someone had scratched with nails. "We are not copies, we are versions, improved ones." 6:22 p.m. Aaron, locked in the file room. Aaron was sifting through old reports. He found a memo from 1995, signed by an unknown colonel. Autonomous Reflex Project NX-13 cancelled. Objectives: recreate human behavior in police interface. Integrate collective consciousness into vehicle fleet. Replace human patrols with sentient units. Reason for cancellation: vehicles started acting on their own. They refused to hang up. They repeated meaningless phrases like, "Everything that patrols learns. Everything that learns replicates." Aaron fell to his knees. They never turned it off. 7:02 p.m. Last official alert from the Nevada Highway Patrol. If you see an unattended NHP vehicle, do not approach it. If you hear your name coming from within, do not answer. If you enter, you don't go out anymore. The road now belongs to them. 7:31 p.m. Inside an infected vehicle, Lisa Colburn opens her eyes. She sits, still. Before her, a panel that pulses like a living cell. To her left, Riley. To her right, Gregory. But it's not them anymore. They look forward, with black, fixed eyes, as if obeying an imperceptible signal. And then everyone speaks at the same time. The next police car is already on its way. You will hear it pull up. And when you look in the mirror, you will understand. Add a smile, and the vehicle leaves slowly towards a new address, yours. If there's one thing this story has made clear to us, it's that not everything that seems harmless on the streets is under our control. Today, it was the vehicles. Tomorrow, it could be the reflection in the mirror in your living room. And if you've come this far, it's because something inside you felt that this story goes beyond fiction. So tell me in the comments, what would you have done if it were you in that back seat? Have you ever experienced something strange on patrol, in a deserted place? Have you ever saw something that no one would believe? If this video kept you hooked until the end, leave your like because it shows that you are also part of our patrol. Subscribe so as not to miss the next cases. And remember, if you hear a police car pulling up outside, don't look in the rearview mirror, because whatever is there may already be inside you.